Welcome to another episode of Legion Elite Motorsports. I'm your host, Isaiah. And on this episode, we are going to get into the good stuff. So make sure you watch this one all the way to the end. Hopefully you learn something new. But anyway, let's get into it and see what we got. Okay, so this piece is completely welded on all the way around. Not the prettiest sight, but airtight. So this looks way better. So this will be out of the way of this. TPS is a little tight up on here, which should not cause any major problems. We got the bolts for the fuel rail. So next, we're gonna put in the injectors, make sure they're cozy in their position, make sure they reach. And yeah, we should be almost done. This is just test fit, so it's not on there tight. But yeah, this sucker's got an angle. This is the vacuum portion. This is the return portion. We're gonna see what we could do with that. If anything, I might have to weld this fuel rail and get rid of this guy. Okay, and then last but not least, we have the injectors on. For all four is bolted down and tight. Okay. I don't feel too confident on the O-rings for this guy, for the fuel. And we'll have to check this side for the boost. Make sure no air comes out of here. And then, yeah, that's pretty much about it. But I want to test this to make sure it doesn't leak. We do not want any fires. And that is always a possibility when you're dealing with fuel. So, these parts are ready. That's return. This is feed. So, yep, we are good to go. We are going to bolt the intake manifold to the head and then put the head on the car. So, we are that much closer. Okay, so it's turned nighttime. We cleaned up the surface. We are ready to put the head on there. We're going to bolt on the intake manifold and everything and kind of take it from there. But we're moving in the right direction. All right. Sorry about the noise. A little hot. So we got the intake gasket on and the exhaust gasket on. Good old Fel-Pro. All right. So what we're going to do here that we're not going to do on the car is put on the intake manifold, because trying to reach these screws in such a tight space is not easy. So, alrighty, that is way easier outside of the car. So, now what we're gonna do, now that this is bolted on, we are going to clean the bottom surface here. A little dry, which is good, but I'm gonna clean that up, and then we'll be ready to lay this head down. Alrighty, the head is in, torqued down, nice and tight. I went ahead and put in this screw here, made sure the timing is on point. You want this at 12 o'clock with your engine on top dead center. So you're lining it up to the T right there. Probably can't see it. Let me zoom in for you guys. See, right on the T. Perfect. All right, so with that said and done, now there's a lot of buttoning up that has to go on here, including the harness. We're gonna get rid of this fuel pressure regulator gauge. We're gonna pop in a new one. This is the old harness. We're gonna keep this here just in case. We're gonna tuck it away a little better, but we're gonna keep that there just in case. So, water hoses in the back. I'm gonna have to shorten them up a little bit. One of them is touching weirdly, and then over here we're gonna have to use one of these for the brake booster, so you have brakes. So it's gonna be that one. We're gonna cap that guy off right there. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of little things, but the main thing is connected, torqued down, ready to rock and roll. I'm gonna pop the valve cover on this guy so no bugs or anything gets in there. There we go. She looks beautiful with that nice red valve cover. Alrighty, so she is all tucked away, ready for more repairs. Okay, so excuse the noise in the background. Still 1,000 degrees outside. So I was looking at this beautiful motor, and I realized that there's no drain for the turbo. It's all sealed. And I'm like, oh no, what are we gonna do about not having an oil return line? So I made the executive decision to go ahead and pull the engine back out, which I did not record, and I did the oil pan. Return line right there, so I'll be able to pop a fitting on it and I'll be good to go, because it's way easier just to take the engine out in this case, because the sway bar has to be moved, and if you have a rusty car, that's not ideal. So I don't want to find out if it's rusty. That's like, something that'll just hold up the process. So just pulled the motor back out, and yeah, welded up the oil pan, resealed it, gave it about 4 days to cure, and pop some oil in it, and we're good to go. So yep, we're gonna continue. So over here, I put the throttle cable. It's not tight as far as the lock nuts are concerned, but it's on there. And then I put the injector plugs, TPS still there. I connected the water hoses and made sure all of the lines for the injector, or excuse me, the standalone ECU wires are up and present. And then I connected the ground and the alternator again. And I connected the oil pressure gauge, which is a singular wire. And then this one's for the knock sensor, but we don't need a knock sensor for this application. So that aside, I'm working on the power steering, because this is originally where it sits, and we're gonna bring it right here to this singular plug. So the lines are a little longer than needed, so we're gonna cut these down and then mount it right here. So the intercooler piping will come straight through here and down. So that's the goal there. And then I'm going to remove this bracket, which is fairly simple. It's just some press welds. So you drill those out, and this piece pops right off. So just gives you some additional clearance. It's not needed, but I prefer to do it this way. It just turns out better, more cleaner. So yeah, so we're gonna move this right now and take it from there. Okay, so I need to go to the store to get this hose from there to there. That one was a little petrified and didn't want to cooperate, but this one worked perfectly. And then we have to hook up the power steering. But you know what I noticed? There's no flared fitting on here that bolts into here. But if you look deep down in here, let me see if I can get it out. But the flared fitting snapped off and is sitting right there, so I'm gonna pull it out. Okay, and here you can see the flare fitting is toast. So we're gonna have to replace the line from here all the way over to here. It actually unbolts, and then I'm pretty sure we won't be able to find that exact fitting, but I'm gonna try to see if I could set up something universal that is 500 PSI hose, hopefully, and take it from there. And then there's an adapter fitting that goes into there and sprouts out, and then from there could be the hose. So that needs to get got, and let's see what else we got to do. Okay, so next we're gonna do oil filter relocation kit. Okay, you get these things from a Honda Civic because they have the same thread. as the Starion. So if you have a manifold that's too close to the oil filter housing or anything like that, you could swap it out for one of these, or you can add this on, run your oil cooler. So we're going to be using this to relocate the oil filter. And as you can see here, it has oil cooler adaptings, but we're not going to be using those. But we're going to use this. It comes with two different ones. You're going to use the gold one. Color may vary, but basically you're going to make sure that you tighten this up because this does twist out. And it's double O-ring to make sure you get a perfect seal on the sandwich plate. So this is the piece you're going to use first. Okay. So the center one goes to the center one of this guy, and then the outer goes to the outer of this guy. So you're basically matching everything up, and then we're gonna bolt this in using a 32mm socket, that guy there. And then we're gonna twist this on, pretty simple. And then from there you can use a crescent wrench and tighten the housing from these smooth flat sides on both sides. And boom, this part will be installed. Then we're gonna mount this guy right here. And then we'll have the lines custom made, which we're gonna get to that later. I have to order that. And then boom, this part will be done. You put your oil filter on this guy, which this centerpiece does screw out. So if you do take your oil filter and it has this gold piece sticking out, make sure you take it out and put it back in. All right, so we're gonna put this in position and we'll be back. Sorry, a little pinky in the way there, but yeah. Okay, so as you can see there, we're gonna take this guy and tighten it up. Oh, we need the bigger one. So this is a 10, we'll use a 12. Okay, had to put the camera down and get some real work done. So let me get you guys caught up. So the turbo manifold, made by yours truly, is on. Okay. It's a 1.5-inch piping, scheduled 40, with T3 and T4 options, mounted to a nice GT30R turbo, billet wheel, dual ball bearing. That's plenty enough steam to get the job done. So that, and then I gotta order some of these fittings for the oil cooler. I gotta order the oil feed line, and yeah, we should be in there. So that's pretty much everything. Still gotta get that hose. Gotta get the lines for this guy. It's mounted, ready to rock and roll. So just drilled the hole in the panel. So now the oil lines will go that way. And then I'm gonna drill this guy off. It's got 3 press fit welds and then one at the bottom. So once that's off, we'll have the 90 going this way. Then the pipe will do a smooth dive down here into this hole. And then we'll continue the intercooler piping, that intercooler over there, oil cooler. Yep, lots and lots of goodies. Okay, diving into nighttime. We're gonna pop in these spark plugs. Don't forget your anti-seize to make sure the spark plugs don't get stuck. And then we also put in the thermostatic switch, which you can see right there. We have to get a custom piece of hose to go from there to there. And I don't know why they ended up making the thermostat housing so tall, because that's going to be the highest point, so there's going to be air bubble there. So I have to figure out a way to fill up the rest of the neck with water, which I'm probably going to use that right there to fill it up, then cap it off. Probably go that route. But anyway, there we go. So yeah, we're looking good. We're gonna pop these spark plugs in real quick, and then take it from there. Okay, before we go ahead and pop these spark plugs in, something very important we need to do is the stock gap on these specific spark plugs are 44 thou, and we're going to move that down to 32 thou. There we go, 32. Alright, so we're going to load the spark plug up into here. Let me back this up a little bit. And then we're going to bring this down to 32 thou, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, as you can see, all 4 spark plugs are in, ready to party. So, okay, fuel filter is in. This one's washable and reusable. Got the 180 degree. Then we're going right through the middle there, over to the fitting right here. Boom, the feed line is complete, but of course we need to tighten up those fittings. But in general, it is ran, ready to go. And with that being said, we're gonna call it an episode right there. Hope you guys enjoyed. Definitely check out the website, legionelitemotorsports.com. And if you have any questions, want to check out the products, which I hope to be updating soon, there's going to be a lot more new products added. I'm going to take a bit of time, but you know how that goes. But other than that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember, knowledge is power, and I will see you guys next time.